It's pretty close to 6:15 here in the fine city of Irving, Texas. My name is Dan Vedral. I'm your Traffic and Transportation Director here at the city. We have COG here tonight. I'm going to introduce my staff. I'll let Julie introduce her staff. I appreciate y'all coming tonight to our public meeting. We have embarked on a bicycle plan for the city of Irving. It's something, I see some new faces from last time that we've been working on for a long time, wanting to do at the city. We did our comprehensive plan in 2017, and one of the things, the comprehensive land use plan for the city, and one of the elements is a bike plan. So we're finally getting able to do that at the city here. So I appreciate everybody's attendance. I know there's going to be maps over here to look at and everything, and get your comments. There's lots of different ways to comment with us. You got the internet. We're going to also have the website and everything, and we're going to get to some of that. So I have my assistant director, Nathan Benditz. We have our traffic engineering manager back here, Cody Owens. And we have Lauren over here. She's the point of contact in all of this. So when in doubt, call Lauren. So we'll hand this off now to Julie and let her start.
Great. Thanks, everybody, for showing up tonight. You'll notice that the on-air sign is on. We're not live streaming this, but we are recording it. And then we're going to put it on the website so that people who couldn't attend tonight could still watch the presentation. So FYI, we're not live streaming, but we are recording. Okay, so as Dan said, we're going to do some welcome introductions. We're going to go over some of the project overview. So our scope of work, the schedule, public engagement, talk about existing conditions here in Irving, and then overview of on-street bike facilities. So we're going to go over this pretty fast because we want to leave most of our time for the actual discussion at the end, where we're going to be interactive and you can look at the maps and ask questions. So if you can, save your questions till the end, because that's when we're all going to be ready for you to be asking questions with our maps and interactive boards in the back. So we want to spend a big chunk of our time on that. Okay, so as Dan said, we've got the City of Irving here. We're partnering with them here at the North Central Texas Council of Governments. So I'm Julie Anderson, and then we've got Kevin Cokes is our program manager for active transportation, and then we've got Daniel Snyder and Connor McDonald, and we're working on this project along with Irving. So they're handling a lot of our stakeholder committee and our public engagement. And then at COG, we'll be doing the planning, bicycle level of traffic stress analysis, and then the bike plan development. So, project overview. So the scope of work that we have for this project is that our goal and our set task is to develop a bicycle plan that identifies an all ages and abilities network that's focused on street bikeways. So this isn't a trails plan. It's focused on our on-street bike facilities that can connect you to a trail and to other destinations. So we will develop a bicycle network plan. It'll have a map and the facility type, so what kind of on-street bike facility, and including these priority corridors that could be implemented. We'll also make sure the network connects to major locations like neighborhoods and adjoining communities, as well as trails and things like libraries and grocery stores. So we're going to use what's called a bicycle level of traffic stress analysis, and that scores existing roadways and intersections based on the level of stress a rider would have if they were riding. And then we use that to then develop our plan that's for all ages and abilities. So we'll develop design guidance, recommended policies, and an implementation phasing plan. And then also develop guidance for decision making that we can then hand off to the City of Irving to then implement the plan. So here's our project schedule. So we're right here in the early stages of it, public meeting. So our stakeholder committee met a couple weeks ago. This is our very first public meeting here, and we've been working on data collection in the background, getting all the information ready to put together existing conditions. So after this meeting and after we've gotten everybody's feedback, we'll start on our bicycle level of traffic stress analysis and start working on a draft bicycle network. So that'll take most of the summer into the early fall. And then we'll meet again with our stakeholder committee and let them review the draft network. And then we're going to come back out for public comment period. Of course, we'll revise the bike network based on your guys' feedback. That'll probably be early next year. And then put together the draft bicycle plan document with this next sort of spring time frame. And we're hoping, if everything goes to plan, that we can go to City Council for plan adoption next May. So we're going to talk a little bit about public engagement. So we've got public input opportunities. So right now, this is our very first public meeting. This is where we get all of our initial feedback from all of you guys. So where do you guys currently ride? Where do you want to be riding? What are issues that you see? We want this plan to reflect what City of Irving residents and visitors want. So like I said, there'll be another public meeting, likely early 2023, where we'll give a recommended network and get comments on that. And then a public comment period in late spring for the draft network, policies, and plan for the community to review. So for you to get information on the project, we do have a project webpage. So if you go to cityofirving.org/bike plan, that'll take you to the hub for all of the information for the bike plan. So project info, timeline, it's got links to, we have an opinion survey and an interactive map that we'd love you all to take time to fill those out. So like I mentioned, we have a map survey. So this is an interactive map we have online. We also have these printed maps we're going to use later today, but if you prefer to do it online, you can also go to the cityof-irving.org/com/bike-plan.com. Thank you, everybody. .org, cityof-irving.org/bike-plan. You can also access this map survey there. That's where we want your feedback on existing bicycling conditions and then also future bicycling opportunities. So where are you riding now, where you're having issues, and where would you like to ride if maybe there was a facility for you to ride on? We also have an opinion survey that we have put out there. So this is to gauge overall attitudes and opinions toward bicycling in Irving and to also provide direction for developing the citywide bike plan. So there's questions about your current bicycling habits. You know, have you ridden a bike within the last 12 months? If you click yes, then there's several other questions for you to answer. It asks you about bicycling facilities currently in Irving, and then how can we make bicycling better in Irving? So you can access this survey on the website as well, cityof-irving.org/bike-plan, and there's a link right there for you to take the survey. It'll be open for at least a month at this point, so it's open right now, so feel free to go there. We've got the link here, but we've also got QR codes around the room that you can scan with your phone to be taken to the webpage. Okay, I want to talk now about existing conditions in Irving for bicycling. So to give you guys a kind of overview of Irving and how it relates to the rest of the region, so this is the map of Irving with the regional VeloWeb. So the regional VeloWeb is a regional designation that the Council of Governments assigns to certain off-street facilities in the region. So think of the regional VeloWeb as like the interstate highway system. It's those major roads that are bigger that connect communities. You can see Irving has some connections to the rest of the region, like the Campion Trail and then Dallas to Fort Worth Trail as well. So at COG, we keep a database of all of the existing on-street and off-street infrastructure in the region based on adopted plans for all of the communities in our 12-county region. So you can see that Irving right now is kind of a whole of on-street bikeway infrastructure. And for community shared use paths, so these are those that are off-street. So it could be a trail or it could be a side path that's all along a side of a road. You can see kind of as you leave kind of the urban part of the Metroplex and you get out, you can see there's a lot more shared use paths out there. So you can see this Irving is kind of a little donut hole in the region. Lots of cities within the Metroplex do have an adopted plan. As Dan said, we don't have one here in Irving, which is why we're here tonight. So that's what we're going to be working on to develop a plan so that you guys are no longer the donut hole. I mean, donut holes are great, but... So as I mentioned, there are some regional trails that are in Irving right now. We know the Campion Trail, lots of people refer to this as like the jewel of Irving. Most of it is complete. There is a small section that I believe is funded right now. So that will be getting construction with that funding. And then our Fort Worth to Dallas regional trail, which we've got some maps in the back to help you with that. But that is a regional trail that connects Fort Worth to Dallas through various trails throughout the 7 cities, I believe. So we also know that there are a lot of barriers to bicycling in Irving, and one of them is that TxDOT roadways can be big barriers to cross because they're just so massive. So we've highlighted, we know that there are lots of TxDOT roads in Irving. We're aware of them, and we've been coordinating with TxDOT already to get information from them on what are the plans, future plans for these, where are they at in the stage of development or design or being let. So that's something we're working on too, because we know that those can be big barriers to getting across the city. Okay, so also for existing conditions, Dan mentioned this earlier, but in the Imagine Irving Comprehensive Plan, which was adopted back in 2017, Chapter 3 in their transportation section, their goal was to improve multimodal transportation connections, and their strategy to be able to achieve that goal was to develop a citywide active transportation network. That's what we're doing here tonight. So they wanted to develop and implement a citywide bicycle master plan to promote facilities that connect neighborhoods, to parks and schools and trails, and also encourage safe and comfortable bicycling facility design. So we want to be able to attract all ages and abilities to be able to ride their bike to either get somewhere for work or for school or for recreation. So included in the Imagine Irving plan, there was this map that included a potential bike network. So again, this was just a potential map. There wasn't any deeper analysis. There wasn't facilities assigned to these. It was like this could be a potential bike route, bike corridor. So this is something that we're going to use as kind of our starting point, since this has been presented to the city, to the community. It is in the Imagine Irving plan, but we are going to do a good analysis, see what kind of facilities should be on these roads. If not this road, maybe another road, but we're going to use this as kind of our starting point as we develop the draft network. It's on the City of Irving webpage. I don't believe it's a map by itself, but it is a map within the larger document. Yep.
When the planning process went through for the comprehensive plan, this was the adopted 2017, which meant this started in 2016. This is a map. If you disagree with one of these roads, that's okay. This was a means by which staff used with the consultants at that time to make some very basic connections throughout the town. So it was part of the plan, but without really the input from groups like this that we really need to codify it, people who are using the system. So if you don't agree with one, this Julie's saying start from here, and that's fine. But if you say, hey, this road isn't, I don't like it, now's your time. Comment away. And if we missed one, that's okay too. There's lots of roads in Irving, so not one's any more special than the other.
Right. Okay, so this is an on-street bike facility plan that we're going to be putting together. So I did want to quickly go over the different types of on-street facilities so you guys know what we have in our toolbox to be able to actually put on the roadway. So we do have a lot of design guidance to help us. We're not just out there in the dark doing whatever we feel like we want to do. So the Federal Highway Administration has put out a design guideline for planning. Also, the American Association of State and Highway Transportation Officials, also we call them AASHTO. Their book from 2012 is the design manual that most engineers will be using. And also there's the National Association of City Transportation Officials, short term we call them NACTO. They put together a guide for urban bikeway design, so that if people who are kind of like how Irving has very urban streets, so this is a design guide that can help a lot with an urban facility as opposed to something that was maybe more rural or suburban. Also, TxDOT has released their roadway design manual that has information about bike facilities on TxDOT roadways. And what's really important to note is that context really matters when you're selecting what kind of on-street facility you want to have. So lower speed, lower volume, you need less separation. So you could have maybe like a shared lane marking or a bicycle boulevard. But as soon as you get more speed or you get more vehicles per day, you want to have some sort of separation from people who are biking and people who are driving. And then as you get even more volume and even more speed, you want to have even more separation so that people stay safe. So We'll be using this as a guideway as well, and knowing that context really does matter when selecting which on-street bike facility. So when we talk about on-street, so we do have these options. These are what we call shared lane markings. So that's also, you might hear it called a sharrow. So it's there on the left. It's the bike symbol with the two chevrons, and then a sign that says may use full lane. So this is a pretty low speed, low traffic neighborhood street. So it has a good application to put an on-street marking. Also like bicycle boulevards, or sometimes they're called neighborhood greenways. Those are also items you can do on street for low speed, low volume. And generally, if you want it to be a bike boulevard, you're doing something to also do traffic calming. So maybe you're putting in a small little roundabout so traffic goes less fast, or you're doing other traffic calming issues so that people aren't going fast on that street, so it's very comfortable for somebody who's riding their bike. So we have different types of bike lanes as well. So you have a very standard bike lane, which is just at least 5 feet minimum, and then a little strip of paint that separates the person who's on their bike from the people who are driving. So then you've also got what we call a buffered bike lane. And the buffered bike lane is just an extra sort of buffer. There's no physical barrier, but it is a little extra space to separate you on your bike from somebody who's in their car. And then you can also have a separated bike lane. So you can put a curb, or you can maybe put planters. Some people put bollards, but there's something that's separating you. Some people put like this here on the right. This is on 3rd Street in Austin. If anybody's been to downtown Austin, they've separated this out with parking and with a curb. So if you're on your bike, you feel very safe. It's a facility that's really safe for all ages and all abilities. Obviously, you can't apply that everywhere. There's right-of-way issues and other things, but it is a tool in the toolbox. An off-street facility, so I mentioned we are focused on this as an on-street bike plan, but there may be instances where we would want to do an off-street facility, such as a side path. So a side path is, just like in this picture shows, it's adjacent to the roadway and it's within the street right-of-way. So if there's a new road being built, oftentimes it's easy to put in a side path because you're already collecting right-of-way to build that road. Or there might already be right-of-way there now. So if it makes sense to put in a side path, that's definitely a tool in the toolbox as well. And then shared use paths, those are just items like the Campion Trail or the Delaware Creek Trail, where we want to make sure that our on-street facilities, we're going to connect to these independent trails. And there are tools that are not considered great for urban bike facilities. So if it's just a signed bike route that says share the road, or this like green bike route sign, that is not something that we would want to put or recommend for an urban bike facility. Also, wide outside shared lanes. This is if the lane is 14 feet wide and you're meant as a bicyclist to kind of share that outside space. Again, that's not recommended for urban facilities or urban context like Irving, but it is recognized as an actual facility. So overall, we want to be able to use these tools in our toolbox, be able to plan and design for all ages and all abilities. So the phrase we use a lot is from 8 to 80. You want to be able to have you out there, your grandkid, your grandma. You want them all to be able to feel safe on their bikes so that they can use their bike to get to where they need to go. So whether it's adults, children, if you want to commute, if you want to run errands, and even if you want to have recreation, because maybe you want to get to the Campion Trail. So we really want to make sure we're designing a bike network that accommodates all ages and all abilities. Okay, so that brings us to here and why we need you guys here and why we need your feedback. So I'm going to explain a little bit about what we have here in the back room. So we have a section about our plan, vision, and priorities. We want you to tell us, what do you think the plan should have as our vision, and what should our priorities be? Okay, so we've got poster boards in the back where you can write on a sticky note saying what you think the vision should be, what your priorities are, and tell us where you want to bike. Do you want to bike to work? Do you want to bike to school? Do you want to bike to a grocery store? Do you want to get to transit? And then, yeah, what are the priorities? So we've got those 3 maps, poster boards back here. And then we've also got 2 printed out big maps. So first we have one that's for existing bicycling conditions. So if you're currently riding, we want you to pull out a marker and start writing on that map about where you want to ride, or where you are riding currently. And then we have another map for future bicycling opportunities. So maybe you're not riding there now because maybe there isn't a bike lane or you don't feel safe or for whatever reason, but you think it's a great opportunity to put something. And that's where you think we should be looking at. So put that on the map as well. So we've got those 2 maps. If you don't feel like you want to ride it out here tonight, these maps are also online with the interactive map that I talked about earlier. So you could also do it on there. Just drop a little pinpoint with your mouse. But we also have them here. I mean, either way is fine. Honestly, we've got the maps here tonight. We were happy to be here and talk to you and get the maps. Sometimes digital online can be easier, but we like tonight because we can be like face to face and be talking to you. So whatever your preference is. And we'll have staff around to help you, or if you have questions or you just want to talk to us, we'll be here for you. Okay. So here's the moment where we're going to let you guys out to our open house. We want you to review the info, ask questions, provide input. As Dan said, you can contact Lauren or myself. We're both the points of contact for Irving and for the COG. And that's our contact info if you want to get a hold of us. But for now, I'm going to open it up and you we're ready for your feedback. Thanks, everybody.